Hey Jake, I'm Grant Forrester. I suppose now you have a face to put with all of the reading that you're going to be doing. Hopefully, I hope the bibliography helps you in some way as you plan to travel to Israel sometime in the future. Um, if we could jump right on in, we only have 10 minutes. Um, I took this quote from you at the beginning of the year from your introduction. I hope you don't mind. And I used it as a framework to, I guess, structure the research that I was doing to know more or less what you wanted. I loved that you tied what you were interested in learning more about from your family, that your mother served as a translator and you heard all about the stories and the history and the culture as you grew up. And I love that. And personally, I love Jewish culture to begin with. So I really liked looking into it. I was really, really glad that your topic is the one that I got. So I didn't really look into stories very much, but I did look into the history, the culture, and the politics. Politics was a huge topic at the time, and Jewish history, of course, being that of biblical history also is, there's a ton of resources out there and material on it. So first off, books, we're just going to try to chug along through this bibliography. If you're having bibliography with you and you're looking and you're following along, they're not going to be in order. But books first, The Lingering Conflict. It was authored by Itamar Rabinovich, and he's a professor emeritus of Middle Eastern history at Tel Aviv. He was the ambassador to the U.S. and former chief negotiator with Syria, and the former president of Tel Aviv University. Now, his list actually has 3 more sentences of credentials, but I left them out for time's sake. He is, above all, one of the greatest people to be reading about in regards to the lingering conflict. So he, being the negotiator, is a chief source in all the issues that are going on politically in the Middle East. So the next book, The Early History of Israel, by Gary Rinsberg. Gary is a professor, Jewish history professor at Rutgers University, and earned his MA and PhD degrees in Hebrew Studies from New York University. So the title's pretty clear. It's about the ancient history of Israel, and he, being a Jewish history professor, is a great resource to be. I guess he's a great professor. He's credited well enough. Anyway, third book, Modern English Hebrew Dictionary. Now, if you choose to only bring one book with you to just completely say, well, I don't really want to know about the history of the culture, any of this stuff, for time's sake, I just need something quick to take with me, this would definitely be the one. Reading street signs, bathroom signs, menus, trying to start up conversation with people you've just met. This would be the book to bring with you. Also made in a small pocket size. It fits in your back pocket. It's really nice. Abraham Zilka has published tons of Hebrew dictionaries throughout the years. And his dictionary is kind of the staple of students who are looking to learn Hebrew as a second language. So I would definitely bring that one with you. Fourth book, last book, Haifa, Transformation of a Palestinian Arab Society, 1918 to 1939. Now, this is interesting because it covers an area in Hebrew history, Jewish history, that really isn't talked about very much. It's kind of the Zionist era, if you will. Between World War I and the beginnings of World War II is a gray area that not many people talk about. But this is a beautiful resource that really outlines the foundation of the state of Israel. Moving into the websites, both of these say the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, but they're websites that are separate that are just found in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. So it's kind of like, one space to go for 2 websites. The first being Focus on Israel, which is information from the creation of modern history by Eliezer ben Yehuda to the Israel Philharmonic Orchestra. Mainly what I mean by that is that it covers a plethora of culture, history, arts, political topics, as much as you could think of. This source has it. This is definitely a one-stop shop if you want to look for anything that has to do with Israeli cultural history or politics. The second, also this was written by a man named Asher Whale, who was the editor for Ariel, the Israel Review of Arts and Letters. So the second, Ariel, is a kind of a collection. It's a bunch of works that have to do with arts and literature, from sculptures to stage performances to music to writings to poetry to all these things. this is a fantastic source. I would definitely look into it. So moving on to the articles, which uses my favorite source, JSTOR, but we'll get to that later. The first article, Migration Patterns to and from Israel. Yenin Cohen, professor of Israel and Jewish Studies, received his PhD from Stony Brook in 1982. So given that he received his PhD in 1982, he's been doing this for a long time. So, and it sounds like a boring topic, but it's actually really interesting to learn about all the different types of Jews that came to Israel, the different types of Muslims that lived in Israel or came to it, and all the different cultures and languages and food and ethnicities that combine in Israel for the experience that I hope that you get to have. The next article, A Jewish State, Controversial Conversation and the Dispute Over Israel's Jewish Character. Now, it's a pretty clear title. It's published by, or authored by Netnil Fisher, who's a professor in the Department of Sociology, Political Science, and Communication at the Open University of Jerusalem. And he received this position in 2011. He's a great person to do this reading. I've actually read something by Netnil Fisher before in a class on Zionism, so interesting enough. The next article, The Art of Living in Israel. In music, theater, dance, art, and literature, people find ways to express the country's unique identity. Now that is a title, and it is really, really clear. And it is authored by a woman named Liz Warwick, and she is the instructional designer at the Center for the Study of Learning and Performance in Concordia University. She is the go-to, the doyen for performing arts in Israel, and she authored this fantastic one, which I highly recommend reading through. In the last article, Eye on Israel, an Old City, and it's an interesting title, but it has mainly to do with the museum, the Temple Museum, and she, Rita Arpoli, is the director and curator at the Temple Judea Museum. She graduated with her BFA and MED and degree in Fine Arts and Education from the Tyler School of Art at Temple University in Philadelphia. She is the perfect person to be talking about the museum. She's a curator. Moving into the references. Oh, did I skip an article? Yeah, moving into the references. We have Israel as a subject source from the Encyclopedia of Anthropology. And this is really cool because it details all the different ethnicities worldwide, cultures, and what it's like to live among them. So it's fantastic to read if you're planning to travel to Israel. The next one is Haifa, and it is from the Columbia Encyclopedia. And this encyclopedia details the world's ethnicities, details the histories of many cities, and details the history of Haifa from ancient times to present. From when it existed as a Roman city to when it exists now presently. And the third one, which I think is definitely the most interesting, has to do with the weather patterns in Haifa. Rain, storms, tornadoes, floods, earthquakes, hydration, humidity, sunlight, weather. It's fantastic. If you're planning to travel to Haifa, I would definitely read through that source and learn more about what you're going to be diving into. So, database sources. Now, these are the three main ones that I used. I used others, but these are definitely the three main ones. ProQuest Central, JSTOR, and Credo Reference. JSTOR was definitely the main one, the thrust of what I used. So we're going to speak mainly about JSTOR, the acronym for Journal Storage. It can be found on the Randall homepage, the Randall Library homepage, by clicking on Find and Research in the top left corner, clicking Databases in the center of the drop-down window, and then JSTOR can be found in the center of the Databases page. Click on JSTOR and it carries you right to it. Now, what's cool is JSTOR can be used when you're off campus. However, when you're not on Hawk Wi-Fi, you have to pay for a subscription. But when you're on campus and you're using Hawk Wi-Fi, you're automatically tuned in to UNCW's account, and you can use all the resources there for free because Randall goes above and beyond in acquiring these resources for us. So now, to mention all of the different types of places that you can, all the different types of subject material, I'm just going to show you. I have some listed off, but area studies, African studies, Irish studies, there's many more as you can see. Arts, music, architecture and architectural history, business and economics, marketing and advertising, humanities, bibliography, film, religion, philosophy, and law, criminology and criminal justice, medicine and allied health, health policy, public health, science and mathematics, astronomy, botany, technology, engineering, paleontology, and social sciences all the way at the bottom. Social sciences, anthropology, women's studies, and linguistics. Of course, there's many more than what I rattled off, but those are, it gives you kind of a feel for what JSTOR has to offer. So, JSTOR's parent company, or the provider, is Ithaca, Ithaka, and I don't have it up, but Ithaca provides JSTOR. It provides Ithaca S&R, which has to do with new technologies, up and coming technologies. Portico and ArtStore. ArtStore being JSTOR's sister, but has to do with art. So, if I could run through a search really quick, just to kind of show you, if I could brag about JSTOR's advanced searches. So, you can use JSTOR simply with just a title and maybe other round words. And you can also use the date searches. You can restrict it by certain dates, publication dates, and I'm sure that you've done this throughout the semester here, or you can just use publication title and ISBN. But seeing that JSTOR is a journal storage database, you can filter all the different types of journal sources that we have, and it is huge. So JSTOR's advanced function works really well for JSTOR. It works really well for journals, so that's why I would highly recommend using it to search for a journal. Now, a real quick search, and I'm going to search for Israeli history because I'm a history major and I'm kind of biased. So Israel history, and notice that it organizes the search results by relevancy. So it's not by date, it's not by author, it's not by publication, it's by the relevancy. So Israel's history, that's what I searched. So something that you'll notice, and I'm not on Hawk Wi-Fi right now, so you'll see what I mean. You have to subscribe in order to use this fully. But on Hawk Wi-Fi, you have the ability to download a PDF or a Word file, or you can read the whole thing online. You can also print it and use it, or you can add it to your list right here, and you can save it for later and use it online for future research. Now, I would highly recommend using JSTOR. I hope to continue using JSTOR even after I graduate and I go into grad school, because it's just a phenomenal source. I usually start with JSTOR and then use the articles from JSTOR to find other sources. So that would be it. I hope that you enjoyed the bibliography. I don't know if you've read it yet. I hope that you get a chance to travel to Israel, because I am so jealous of that. But anyway, thank you, Jake, Mr. Geller, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your semester.